This is Sean's Exploits with another video, and this video is going to be a quick hint look into web application security. Now, I'm not going to go over all of them because there definitely are a good list of them. But today I want to focus just very quickly on cross-site scripting. And what do you do when you may not have an enormous list of tools to your disposal? What do you do when you don't have things like Kali Linux? If you don't have another OS, or let's say you just, for a brief moment, you're very limited. Maybe your testing environment conflicts with another environment. Maybe you have proxy issues. What can you do to proceed further with testing when you don't have what you would normally like to use in other cases? And so, here comes the manual pen testing, think outside the box type of approach. And I always work by the ABC model. If plan A doesn't work, then have a plan B. If plan B doesn't work, then have a plan C. Just keep having a backup to your backup if your initial plan, just for some odd reason, maybe out of your control, doesn't work. So you can see on the screen, this is Groove Year, if I'm saying it correctly, is a Google vulnerable app that Google has stood up and is available for anybody who wants to get their hands a little bit fresh into pen testing. For the most part, you can pretty much do what you want, except for doing things where you're directly attacking the service behind the app itself. But for the most part, you can really get your hands in and learn some of the basis of testing web applications. And so I'm going to show a few things today. First is a couple of add-ons that you can add on to your web browser. Now, I use Firefox for some pen testing things too. I like it because of the ability to add on extensions. You can see on the screen here, I'm going to click right here, and as far as the add-ons are concerned, so the add-ons I have installed are XSS, Hackbar is another one where you really can modify some of your attacks and scripts and really try to maneuver around filtering mechanisms and what's been put in place that keeps you from proceeding forward. So just a quick look into my add-ons. So at the very top, you see this Google Guru appspot.com, and it's incredibly long numerical instance. Everyone who sets up their own instance, Google automatically assigns this huge number. It's an identifier for your particular instance. So basically, 101 with cross-site scripting is basically malicious JavaScript input that is put in by the attacker. And what happens is you can append it within the URL, and you can exploit the trust relationship between the browser and the server that's going back and forward. And so when the input is not validated, that's what makes it dangerous. Now, there are some security protections now that are in place that are configured to identify malicious JavaScript, but there are also ways to get around it, and it could be quite comical, but it actually works. So as an example, using the XSS add-on that I previously showed, if I go to the menu and click at the very top, you see a list of different payloads you can use. But if you notice what's right here with the mouse is over, notice how every other letter is smaller case, capital case, lowercase, capital case. It alternates in the beginning and also in the middle and also the end. Some filtering mechanisms are configured to immediately block if it's complete lowercase. So just alternating the characters where one is lowercase, the one is capital, it actually can bypass, which is comical, but it happens. So to show, if I click on this, I'm going to execute a reflected cross-site scripting attack. Enter, and then there is the result on my screen. And you can see basically the application reflected back to me XSS, which was basically right here. So it's reflecting what I put in. The alert allows the box to pop up. So the alert allows the box to pop up. The XSS is which is the data between the quotations. And as you can see, the script that's put in is lowercase and is capital case, and it alternates between the small and large just to bypass the filter, which is quite clever. So I'm going to OK to get out of this, and I'm just going to basically X this out. Now you can see to the right I have a tab called XSS Hunter. XSS Hunter is a beta tool where you can actually sign up. It's a cool thing. It has some good features on it. Some of the features, click right here. It gives you an introduction on exactly what XSS Hunter is. It allows you to definitely find all kinds of cross-site scripting vulnerabilities, even the blind ones you can find. It has different ways you can fire payloads and probes. It gets you screenshots when you need some. It even provides a report of every time you had a successful XSS attack. So I'll click on this tab to get me started. Now I have my available payloads. Now with XSS Hunter, I have an account with them. So when my payload is successful, I will receive a type of notice in the XSS files, and it will let me know exactly where the payload is successful. So if you set an account with this particular tool and you have your payloads where you have the permission, I must interject, to test. If a payload is successful, then you will have a list of the payload files on the left hand side, and it will let you know where it occurred, the URL, everything. So as an example, I'm going to use this one for the sake of this video. I do the same thing that I did with the previous attack. So when I reset it, you can see here that it has the victim IP and also the vulnerable page URI, and that's the instance that it was executed on. So here is a list of fires. If I was to click on view full report, then basically here at the bottom exactly the cookies and all the information that came with the result. So this is just an example of how you can use this particular tool to find cross-site vulnerabilities. So as I was saying earlier, definitely have your plan B, plan C options if you are in a very particular test where, let's say, Kali Linux is not available. Let's say it's not even within, somehow or another, the red tape is so big it's not even an allowed tool in rules of engagement. Or let's say you are in a particular environment where you don't have access to Kali Linux. So let's say you can't get it on a virtual machine at the time, or you can't have it as a host OS. What do you do when your main go-to may not be available? What do you do? So, definitely have a mind to think outside the box a little bit on pen testing, especially on a web application side. Networking side's a little bit different. Sometimes the rules of engagement are a little less because there's certain things you need, but you never know. So, either or, just make sure that you have your other plans and tools in your tool belt just in case you may need them. So this is Sean Guest Boys. Hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I always say keep it legal and happy testing.